All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I've been playing the Seasons of Mastery beta and a bunch of other things for a while now. OBRS or OBS, whatever the hell this recording software is, keeps doing little minor updates, which resets your settings and makes it terrible. Which has been completely fucking with my audio and or messing with my ability to record. So that's really nice. As you can see here, I have to turn down the audio again, which is awesome. And I did a recording today, visual recording, playtesting stuff with Drakova, although Drakova didn't say anything. He just kind of hung out next to me, pretty much. But the subject of today is a leveling guide, since Seasons of Mastery has pretty much forced me to do a
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we might have a bit of an
leveling
adventure.
guide. So I made like an hour-long video playtesting stuff here. I'll just have it playing in the background. As you can see, the sizing is all messed up. Hooray! The sizing is all messed up because well, OBS is doing like little frickin' updates, and no, that's nice. Thank you. But anyways, because of the Seasons of Mastery, let me pause this real fast here. Because of the Seasons of Mastery, I started looking into how best to level a Paladin personally, which is something I've never done before, because who cares how, the most efficient way to level your damn Paladin? All you have to do is like get to level 42 and then start your AoE grind. Like it really doesn't matter. Just suck. It's like just embrace the suck and get through it, because you're not going to be able to level in multiple Paladins. But I decided to look into it with all the knowledge that I had on Paladin, and what I found is something really interesting. As you're leveling, your best option is probably going to be wearing stamina intellect gear and using Seal of Righteousness rank 3, specifically rank 3, not the other ranks, and then judging Crusader on the target for the bonus spell power. The reason for this is because Seal of Righteousness has 5% more spell power ratio behind it than any of the other Seals of Righteousness. Seal of Righteousness rank 3 is what I'm saying. 5% more spell power ratio than any of the other seals. Yeah. So, for example, just in case you've never heard this before, Seal of Righteousness, like rank 1 and 2, and then not 3, but then all the way to 8, they all do 10% spell power ratio for a one-hander and then 15% spell power ratio for a two-hander. Meaning, and that's regardless of weapon speed. So it's adding this percentage of your spell power to the damage every weapon swing, regardless of weapon swing. However, rank 3 is a special boy. And rank 3 is a special boy because he gets 15% spell power ratio to one-handers and then 20% spell power ratio to two-handers. Well, this gets very interesting indeed, especially since there are certain weapons out there that are like really fast two-handers. Like our Paladin class weapon is a pretty, it's not that fast of a one-hander or a two-hander. Where's a good one? Dust Blade's a little slow, but it's got a proc on hit. Severing Axe. I know the two-hander that drops off of the final boss in Nomergon, it has a really fast attack speed. Shadowfang here has got a really fast attack speed and a proc. I've been using Searing Blade and really liking it, but it's not actually here. Searing Blade's it's a two-handed weapon with a 2.5 swing speed, and it's actually kind of gross. You'll see it in the video here in a second. But I just want to go through the basics before I show the video and talk about my findings and so forth and so on. So basically what I did was I started out by playtesting a little bit on the Seasons of Mastery, and I tried Stamina Spirit Gear. The results for the Stamina Spirit Gear, let's pull up Discord here real fast. I want you to focus on this thing right here. These are the findings that I sent to Drakova, basically. So when I tried Spirit Stamina Gear, I found that I was getting at most, like if your gear was super up to date with Stamina Spirit, you're getting like a 50% mana regeneration bonus from Spirit. We're talking like at level 20, your Spirit regeneration is close to like 20 Spirit a tick. And then if you increased your spirit by like 60 or something like that, which is about appropriate for that level of gear, it only increased your spirit tick by like 10. So you went from doing, if you were butt naked, you'd be healing 20 mana per spirit tick. And if you had the spirit gear, you'd be healing 30 mana per spirit tick. So I was like, oh my god, that's terrible. So I started looking into strength, and we can look at this in a second. Strength, this, I've since converted this into a percentage. So when you're wearing strength stam gear, you increase your physical melee DPS, your net physical melee DPS, net meaning after armor, by a grand total of like, it's about 15%, maybe 16, maybe 17 if your gear is like super up to date. 17% increase of your white damage. Now, if you're a Seal of Command Paladin, that might be a true increase. That might convert almost directly to an increase of your DPS. Like if you're Seal of Command, two-handed Paladin, you're not really judging all that much. That might be a straight 16% increase to melee DPS. But if you're any other variant of Paladin, you're a mix of holy damage and white damage, so it's actually not that big of an increase. And you gain about a 20% block amount, but we'll showcase that here in a second. Stamina, on the other hand, if you have like up-to-date gear on intellect stamina, it's about 100% mana increase. It's kind of nuts. And then, of course, strength spirit was the third option. But I'll just show you this here real fast. So here's our butt-naked Paladin. I have it set to level 20. So butt-naked Paladin at level 20. Let's just go through here real fast. They've got about 600 mana. Their melee DPS, yeah, they're rocking about 9 DPS, just doing nothing, right? So just butt naked, 9 DPS. So I then flash forward a bit to the, let's go with the intellect gear first. So if I have up-to-date intellect gear on a level 20 Paladin, you can see that we've more than doubled our mana bar, and that's even before we actually put talent points into here, which we'll talk about later. So end up having this massive mana bar. We'll talk about why this is a good thing in a second. Where the hell did I get MP5? No, oh, that's health regeneration. Whoa, interesting. Must be from Spirit. Weird. Wonder if the butt naked Paladin has the same amount. Yeah, practically. Okay. What else are we talking about here? Melee DPS, attack power shouldn't have gone up all that much. Yeah, 9.6. Like, I think I got like a little bit of strength here from like the Seal of Rin. This weapon might have some. Blah 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 blah. All right, so you can see that we've gained 100% or more spell of our mana bar. No problem, no sweat. Moving along. Let's check out the strength here. This was the one that shocked me. All right, so our base Paladin, if you recall, was doing 9.1 DPS from his attack power. Our strength is now increased this 9.1 DPS to a whopping, looks like 7.4. Is that about right? 7.4, yeah. So all the strength that we have on this character, of which we have almost plus 52 strength at level 20, we're only increasing the DPS by like 7.5. I think that's what it was, right? Yeah, about 7.5 DPS. Well, if we go over here to a calculator, you can see that we've got like 9.1. That's our butt naked, just base leveling DPS. We then gain, let's go back over here. We then gain like whatever our weapon damage is. So I'm just gonna throw in, we'll throw in 19.2. Plus 19.7 from the weapon, right? And then you may or may not have Blessing of Might on your character. You know, Blessing of Wisdom, Blessing of Might, it equates roughly equivalently. Like level 22, I think you get an upgraded Blessing of Might, which is worth like 25 Strength, which is going to give you, we'll say 3.5. So Blessing of Might's also going to add like, 3.5 DPS. So you can see you're running around at 32.3 DPS, and all this strength gear amounts to adding plus 7.5 to that, which is like, okay, it's not insignificant, but 7.5 times 3 equals plus 7.5 equals, oh God. So you can see this would be 25% plus 7.5. Yeah, so you can see it's about 18% or so of your total attack power, give or take, of your melee DPS. So it's not insignificant, but at the same time, it's also kind of insignificant, and I'll talk about why. All right, mana, blah, blah, blah. All right, so those are our options. Just from a gearing perspective, that's basically our options. So option number one is we go stamina spirit gear. We gain like a 50% bonus to our mana regeneration. The health regeneration was also pretty negligible in gains. It's not like a warrior who gains a lot from health regeneration. You can go strength or stamina and gain 18, we'll say, percent physical melee DPS if your gear is super up to date. Or you can go int stam and gain like over 100, like 110% mana or some crud like that. It's pretty ridiculous. Or you can try to combine the two, which is what Drakova typically likes to do. He does strength spirit and just kills mobs one at a time with two-hander and command. That was kind of his jam. So I was really looking into like what is the best option. And that's where I'm going to start playing this video here and then just talking. Well, the thing that's when I started crunching the numbers and I started doing the math, what I eventually came to the conclusion of was that going one-handed sword and board paladin was kind of the way to go. Like your single target time to kill was very similar to your two-handed target time to kill. And on top of that, you gained all the benefits of being a stamina, intellect, sword and board paladin, which means that you're the best possible tank that you can be in a dungeon. You're the best possible healer that you can be in a dungeon. You can party well with people out in open worlds. You can AOE with the AOE farm with the best of them. You know, blah 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 blah. Because traditionally, the reason why we start with a two-handed build as a paladin and then we evolve ourselves at level 42 into the AoE version of the paladin sword and board style is that's when the talents come online. That's when that's when you have Blessing of Sanctuary and you have Consecration and you get Seal of Wisdom, and that's when the full AoE paladin is in final form, basically. But the reason why we go one-hand or two-hander until then is because you never know if you're single targeting things or if you're multi-targeting things. It's very hard to multi-target down mobs, like, you know, grab 3 or 4 mobs and burn them down. And we're going to be using the Searing Blade here in a second. Yeah, you can see that. Let's go back there real fast. Because you can barely see it on the screen there. Show it to me! I'll pause it when I do it, don't I? Okay, yeah. So 2.5 weapon speed requires level 18, 9.6 as opposed to 9.7 from Mr. Smites. Nice little proc on hit, but it's the fact that it's a two-handed weapon at one-handed weapon swing speed, which means it gets a 20% spell power ratio behind it. Holy crap. This thing smorks, and it is actually awesome. So you're going to be seeing that in action here in a second. If you don't know what this is, I'm wearing all intellect, stamina intellect gear right now. Okay. Yeah. 1 second. Move away from that. Let me see. Yeah, 88 intellect, so I got like shit tons of mana. Yeah, 1500 mana bar. Okay, you get the point. So I'm showing how quickly you can kill targets with the fast two-handed weapons, even with intellect and stamina gear. But what's basically happening with the intellect stamina gear build is that your time to kill single targets is virtually identical to your time to kill single targets with like two-handed command. Having fun outside with the horns? I guess so. It's virtually, so your single target time to kill is virtually identical than if you were a command paladin. On top of that, you have the option to swap sword and board and go AoE or heal a dungeon or whatever at any time. So once your AoE comes online, which is actually your AoE farming comes online at level 25, but it really comes online at level 30. I'll talk about the overarching leveling plan that I have for leveling with this new information, but I just want to get out the basics of why things are the way that they are. But yeah, you can see that this thing is just crunching these things into pieces. Kind of gross when it doesn't miss like crazy. Yeah, so that 23 damage is the Seal of Righteousness damage. It's kind of nuts because the Judgment of Crusader at this level has a 50 spell power ratio behind it, and so it's adding 20%. So it's adding 10 holy damage to the auto attack. So if I was just attacking with this weapon with just normal Seal of Righteousness rank 3, it would do what, 13 damage, but because I'm judging Crusader, it now does 23 damage. And when you judge the thing, it does metric shit tons of damage as well. So you don't actually lose a lot, blah, blah, blah. Just know that the math is 100% in its favor. So we got the Seal of Crusader on the target, and then boom, there's the Seal of Righteousness. Hopefully I end this with a Judgment, and then I start drinking. I think in the actual video I'm bitching about being a dwarf. Let me check. Stab. What are we doing now? 30 seconds? Go away. Yeah, 71. Yeah, so, Seal of, I think, Judgment of Righteousness rank 3, it's either 40% or 50% spell power ratio behind it. So, even though you're judging Crusader and you think you'd be losing DPS by, like, not judging Righteousness onto the target, you don't actually lose that much DPS at all because you make it all back up when you actually judge the target to death. Yeah, it's kind of gross. All right, so I actually watched this video for times. Like I literally took the time to. So in the video, basically, I literally put on Stamina, Intellect Gear. Drakova is there helping me out on one of his alts with the Armor Aura, just because my gear is kind of janky. A lot of it's cloth and leather because the server is basically dead. So I just had to put on what I could put on. So he's giving me appropriate armor for this test. But eventually he goes away, and I respec to Seal of Command in the video, and what the hell am I thinking about? I want to minus this? Whoa. I guess plus it? Ugh. Okay. But eventually he goes away, and I respec, and I come back again in the video, and I start testing out Seal of Command. So Seal of Command with all strength gear, wielding like a Smite's Mighty Hammer, it was killing consistently. I tested this like 3 times in the video. Well, at least 2. It was getting 6 kills in 2 minutes, and then I was assuming downtime was like 30 seconds. And on average, when I average that out, I'm killing a mob every 25 seconds. That's including runtime between the targets. So 20 seconds for a mob kill is actually really good. But then doing it with Int Stam Gear, a fast 2-hander, which is what we just saw in the video, and I'll keep showcasing that in a second. Got virtually identical kill time. And then also what was interesting, when I was wearing the Stamina Strength Gear and I was wielding a fast 2-hander, I actually, at this point, you're just judging for damage on cooldown like a madman. It also performed reasonably well. Part of that has to do with the fact that wearing the Strength Stam Gear, you gain from the strength, right? You're gaining that 7.5 melee DPS. But what you lose, because I was a Seal of Command build at this, is you lose the ability to run up to a target and at least throw 1 Consecrate into their face. And the Consecration at rank 1 is worth 80 damage with the Judgment on the target, because it's got like a 5% spell power ratio. Point is, when I Consecrate rank 1, normally it does 8 damage a tick for 8 ticks for 64 damage, but because I have Judgment of the Crusader on the target, now it does 10 damage for 8 ticks, so it does 80 damage. So whatever damage I was gaining from the Consecration up here, whatever damage I was gaining from the strength, it evened out with the Consecration and the fast 2-hander. So I thought that was really interesting. And then I tried I also looked into what it was like when I was using a 1-hander. The 1-hander in this video is kind of meh. it's kind of meh because it's an up-to-date blue one-hander. But it's a slow weapon speed of 2.5, and the Seal of Righteousness really wants the fastest one-hander that you can possibly get your hands on. Because again, it's going to be that 15% spell power ratio every single weapon strike. So when I'm swinging at 2.5 weapon speed with a one-hander, like the two-handed one was a 2.5 weapon speed with 20% spell power ratio and the damage bonus of a two-hander, and then the one-hander is less damage because of one-hander, and then it's the same weapon. It's just bad. But even then, it was actually still doing really well at 28 seconds per kill. The Paladin in the video here is level 22, so his AoE tanking ability really isn't on the level yet. Like, he's only got, like, I think he's literally got 2, maybe 3 points at most into readout, and you really want readout on your Paladin with AoEing. So I tested the AoEing capability, like you pull 3 mobs, you burn them down, or pull 4 mobs and you burn them down, or pull 2 mobs at a time and burn them down, and it was just jank. It did not end well at all. So yeah, I think I tried it right here, and you can just watch the mana bar die horribly. You know, put this on real fast here. I can also showcase how to do it. So you start by judging this guy. Then you put down your consecration, keep beating on him. Have to beat on the other guy, it's fine. So I'm going to switch between the 2 mobs using tab. So I can keep consecration or judgment of the Crusader on both of them. So hit him, tab over, hit him, tab over. Hit this guy, one more consecration, call it good. Hit this guy, or miss this guy because I'm a fucking dwarf. Yeah. So I'm not entirely sure which is better, doing 2 mobs at a time and cycling through like that. Yeah, so yeah, I'm not impressed with the AoE. The AoE is not really online yet, but that has more to do with the life cycle of this particular build of Paladin. You don't really need AoE tanking or AoE farming capability, I would say, until you hit level 30. Level 30 is when the AoE farming capability of a Paladin both really comes online and becomes super needed in the world at the same time, even though it's hard to gather up more than 1 mob at a time. The reason for this is we can skip ahead to like Seal Command or something. Yeah, this is me testing out Seal Command. All right, so the main reason for this is because when you hit level 30, you get Judgment of Light. Well, at level 25, you have both Consecration and then 5 out of 5 into Readout, which is a really big deal. Readout, in my personal opinion, takes off like maybe 25% of the damage that you suffer from mobs. Oh, yeah, I remember I had some fun with the lag here. Yeah, okay. Takes out, so it reduces damage from mobs by, we'll say 25%, right? Sword and board readout. What am I trying to say? Sword and board readout. Blah, 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 blah. Right, so, and then Judgment or Seal of Light. So if you don't know, Seal of Light and Seal of Wisdom have a 2/3 chance, so like a 66.66666% chance to proc per weapon swing, regardless of weapon speed. So again, you have that synergy with the fastest one-handed weapon possible. SoR is synergizing with fastest one-handed weapon possible. Seal of Light is synergizing with fastest one-handed weapon possible. Your Seal of Light can easily negate the damage from a single mob when you're sword and board with a fast one-hander, easily. So now, once you're level 30, you can literally pull like 4 mobs. Readout is effectively negating the damage of a single mob. Let's go back a little bit here for a second here when I was doing the AoE thing. What? What's going on here? Is this me testing? Okay, yeah, should be the AoE thing here. So the reason why this is important that I'm about to describe is I just want you to observe how much damage we're taking from these two mobs. And imagine that there's 4 mobs instead of 2 mobs. So if you have 4 mobs on you, Readout's going to negate the damage of at least 1 mob effectively. If you're using Judgement and Seal of Light, you're going to be negating the damage from another mob. So you're effectively only taking damage from 2 mobs. And then on top of that, you have this absolutely astronomical mana bar that allows you just to consecrate them into oblivion and keep yourself topped off and healed. Now, one of the weird features of AoE farming a paladin is whether or not you're on a PvE or a PvP server. Because if you're on a PvP server, AoE farming a paladin while you're leveling is a bit of a different experience, because you absolutely cannot allow your... What is it here? I want to go back to the two-hander because that was the one that I really enjoyed. I still enjoy doing it, and I still enjoy watching it. It's kind of terrifying. Right, so if you're on a PvP server, the Horde are not going to let you pull like 4 mobs into an area and burn them down. And the trigger for them killing you is going to be how much of the mobs in the area are you vacuuming up? Like, are you being a greedy dick? And then number 2, can they kill you? Like, if you're like, low life, low mana, really pushing your AoE on a PvP server, you're going to get smorked by the Horde, and it's really going to ruin your leveling experience. So, let's just stick with 3 mobs. But I'll talk about it in terms of 4. Assuming you're not on a PvP server. But if you're on a PvP server, PvP, yeah. 3 to 4 mobs is going to be your maximum. If you're on a PvE server, you might be able to pick up 5 mobs. You have this massive, massive mana bar, which is absolutely awesome. So you can grab a bunch of mobs. You can easily tank them. You can easily heal up. You can use Bop. You can use Bubble. This is assuming you're on a PvP server, but I'm going to be on a PvP server, so this does not apply to me. So you have at least the option of leveling AoE style with this Paladin, especially when you hit level 30, because again, you get that Judgement of Light online. So again, 4 mobs attacking you. Readout is ignoring at least 1 mob's worth of damage. Seal of Light is ignoring another mob's worth of damage. So you're only taking damage effectively from like 2 mobs. And then, of course, your Consecration is going Super Saiyan. Your reflect damage is nuts. If you have a shield spike, it's even better, but we have to assume you don't have a shield spike. It's really good. However, the next best option are these disgustingly fast one-handers with Seal of the Crusader and Seal of... I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. Are these really fast one-handers? Oh yeah, I should go over here real quick. So the next best option are these really fast one-handers with SOR, and you can either go Strength Stamina Gear with a really fast one-hander and then use Seal of Righteousness, or you can go, let's say your... the problem I have with the Strength Stam Gear playstyle is that it's highly weapon dependent, especially Seal of Command. So what we're looking at here is, let's say you're like, screw you, Pally time, I'm still going to go a Strength Stamina Gear based on what you're telling me. And you wouldn't be wrong to do so. But what you should observe is that if you have a slow two-hander, then Seal of Command is going to be much better than Seal of Righteousness. But if for some reason you get a hold of like an up-to-date blue weapon, but it's got a really fast attack speed, then rather than using Seal of Command, you should start experimenting with Rank 3 Seal of Righteousness and then Judgment of Command, because your kill time will probably be greatly improved by that. So this is kind of cool if you're still hell-bent on the whole Strength Stamina style thing. But in my personal opinion, Stamina Intellect is where it's at. And the number one... so the reason for this is very simple. Our time to kill with Stamina Intellect Gear, like using that one consecration per mob and then burning them down. The cycle is literally I'm running at the target. Ideally, I judge Crusader before I get to that, and I Seal of Righteousness at the same time. You could even write a macro. I'd highly suggest it. And then you hit the mob. Then you immediately consecrate. Then you just start beating the mob to death, and then you judge on cooldown. Like, how do I put this? There's like two options. It depends on like mob density. So option one is you wait till the mob is about to die, and then you judge kill them, right? Option two is if the is you just judge on cooldown into the mob, and then you reseal seal of the Crusader. Even though it does less damage, the idea is that that's the seal you're going to be using to judge into the next mob, and it's going to be 10 seconds before your judgment is back up, blah, 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 blah. So it doesn't make much sense to judge on cooldown, reseal, rank 3 Seal of Righteousness, kill that mob, and then have to go back to Crusader before you hit the next mob. You get used to it. It really depends on how fast or how slow you're killing the mobs. Alright, so why do I like the Int Stam gear? I guess I'll go here and showcase this real fast. Alright, so what happens is, let's actually find the Int Stam gear. Holy. Alright, so what happens is, I come down here as I'm leveling, and boom, I gain access to Consecration. Let's pump it up a bit. Let's go, let's go level 25. Alright. So I get my Consecration comes online, but really I'm interested in using, like, you know, at that point you might have, like, Smite's Mighty Hammer, and just running around with that. You might be able to get your hands on, like, a good fast two-hander, or even a fast one-hander is not half bad. So if I go over here and I look at the weapon options, you can see that at level 25, yeah. Get your hands on a nice fast one-hander, or Vibroblade's actually really good, but I have no idea where the hell to get it. 1.6 weapon speed with SOR. Oh my god, gimme. Oh, I think I know who that is. That's Searing? No, it's not Searing Flats. Maybe they removed that from the game. Where are those fast? Yeah, here's a two-hander at 2.8 speed. Like, what the hell? This would be really good for Seal of Righteousness. Pole Arm also counts as a two-hander. It's kind of slow. Holy shit. Whatever this is. 2.4 weapon speed two-hander. Like, yeah, yes, please. Where are good one-handers? This is a two-hander. Another two-hander that's fast as hell with a proc on hit. Yeah, so you can see that these things are kind of a dime a dozen. Sword of Decay. Main hand, 2.7. That's too slow. One-hander, main hand. Probably already have the best, fastest one-hander on here. Probably. Yeah, one-hander 2.1. Yeah, I'm using a 2.0 proc on hit, blah, 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 as the theoretical one here. Anyways, so leveling doesn't really start to suck, especially on the Season of Mastery thing, where you're turning in all these quests and you're getting this massive XP bonus. Leveling does not really truly begin to suck as a Paladin until you get level 30. Part of that has to do with the fact that you go into Dead Mines, right? You come out of Dead Mines at like level, we'll say you come out of Dead Mines at like level 21, give or take. 20, 21, you're done with Dead Mines, you got Smite's Mighty Hammer, or you got like a nice weapon, one-handed weapon under there, blah, 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 blah. And then you level in like Red Ridges for a few levels. You get like level 24, level 25. The next thing you know, you're in Stockades. And then you start doing all the quests in Stockades, and you just burn through a few levels in the Stockades. And then you go back to questing again. And the next thing you know, you're in level 30. And level 30 is when life starts to suck. Leveling as a Paladin, I know this. I have like a level 34 Paladin on the Season of Mastery. And that's when life really starts to suck, because questing starts getting really hard to do. Like, for example, even with the 40% experience bonus to questing XP, I did all the quests in Shimmering Flats. And turning in all the quests and killing all the mobs netted me about 60%, maybe 70% if I'm being generous. We'll say 70. Netted me 70% of an experience bar. Doing all the quests in Stranglethorn Vale practically netted me like an experience bar. So life is just going to suck once you hit level 30. Gnomergon's not half bad. My Paladin did get the weapon from Gnomergon, which has a level 32 requirement, which is actually kind of awesome. Let me find it here. It's the misplaced servo arm. Yeah, Thermoplug's misplaced servo arm. 2.7, weapon speed, two-handed, good stuff. So I was really, really digging, swinging this thing around with the whole SOR Rank 3 thing. Pacifier, of course, is, yeah, only a 12% chance off that rare spawn. That's kind of nuts. What else we got going here? This one's actually pretty good. This one sells on the auction house really cheap, but it's a 1.8 speed one-hander. Also pretty nice. Got some stats here. Two-hander, 2.7 speed. Are we seeing a pattern here? But these things are all over the place. Until you get to max level, you don't actually find slow two-handers, which is kind of interesting. Chance on hit defense for 5 seconds. That could be actually really, really good. Like, that could be absolutely disgusting for AoE tanking. That might take you all the way to 60. Like, what the hell is this thing? Holy crap. That's interesting. Huh. Because when you're AoE tanking, you don't really care about the weapon damage, and you really just want a fast attack speed for getting your mana back as much as possible from Seal and Judgment of Wisdom. That's interesting. Let's kick it up a few levels. Let's go level 38 and see if there's still those really fast two-handed weapons. Argent Custodian. This one's a piece of junk. Nordic. One-handed Ravager, yeah, whatever. One-handed mace, sledgehammer, one-handed sword, what the hell? Oh, dazzling longsword. I think it's a speed rapier is one of my favorites. 36, yeah, 1.8, good stuff. One-handed 1.7, ooh. I guess they're done with the fast one-handers. No, never mind. But you like hell, you're gonna have a fiery war axe, that's for sure. 1.8 one-hander? Not bad. Grim Reaper, level 35. 3.10 with a proc on hit. That's not half bad, especially for a dwarf. Two-handed, 2.9. Bonus versus undead at level 35? The hell am I finding undead at level 35? Alright, whatever. Obsidian Cleaver. Damn, alright. Fight Club. One-handed. Manslayer. The pole arm. Pole arms are kind of cool because they're usually really, really fast, which is kind of nice. Okay, so hopefully you get the point. But yeah, so level 30. Let's continue on with our thingy here. So at level 30, you get to be, you know, you might be doing Gnomergons. You're just getting into Scarlet Monastery Graveyard. Quests aren't really out there for you. You can try doing like Shimmering Flats, which is what I did, and you can try doing the quest of Stranglethorn Vale, which is what I did. But again, you're only going to get like 2 levels at most from there, and then you're going to be like level 32 going, let's just go do Gnomergon and some dungeons. It's much easier, and I get gear, blah, 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 blah. So you're probably going to be in Scarlet Monastery until you're like damn near level 40, just because Scarlet Monastery is awesome. You might bounce between, you know, running dungeons and leveling out in the world. That'll probably be like, you'll probably have like a mix of that. But level 40, level 42 is when your AoE grind gets online, like good and proper, because level 40 is when you get all the toys. You get Consecration, get 5 out of 5 Redoubt, come down here, take Anticipation while leveling over other things, believe it or not. Do I want any improvement here? I might go while leveling. Sure. What the hell's going on? Something's not right. Is it level 41? Oh, because I have Consecration. Oh, level 40. Ding! And then you get Blessing of Sanctuary, and then ding! And what's awesome about... yeah, it is 2. I remember that quite well. So maybe I pull a point out here and put it in there. So yeah, so level 42 is when you get Seal of Wisdom, I'm pretty sure. It's either level 42 or level 44. Can't really remember. And then you get Blessing of Sanctuary in conjunction with Consecration. So let's look at our life cycle here. Dead Mines. So we're only out of Dead Mines for like 3 levels. 2 or 3 levels until we're hitting the Stockades for a few levels. But you could be out of there for a little while longer if you don't want to run dungeons. It really doesn't matter. But then our ability to quest kind of dies horribly once we hit level 30. Like Alliance just don't have like a lot of quests. Like I don't know what to tell you. So you're just going to be in Scarlet Monastery until like level 40 and level 42. The point is that the whole let's go two-hander thing, in my opinion, is kind of overrated compared to the stamina intellect gear. In summary, if you're still hell-bent on doing the stamina strength gear thing, just know that your options for weapons have ballooned out significantly. So if you have slow two-handed weapons, you can use Seal of Command. If you have fast two-handed weapons, you can do Judgement of the Crusader and then Seal of Righteousness rank 3 for its massive 20% spell power ratio, and your time to kill will be virtually identical to Seal of Command Paladin, which is kind of awesome. So you're very flexible in that sense. But by far, I think the king of the paladins is the stamina intellect gear, because again, our single target time to kill is not all that much worse, both with a decent one-hander and with a two-hander. And on top of that, when we get into the dungeons or when we party up out in the world with other people, we are a healing god. We are an AoE tanking god. We have like over 100% increase in our mana bar. We have consecration. We got all the tools and the gimmicks to just basically crush it 6 ways from Sunday. The other thing that's awesome about this is that which of these two paladins do you think pairs better with other players? Like if you were going to have a leveling partner. So for example, I plan on leveling with Talrain almost exclusively. Like we're going to be a duo and just level together. And as a couple of paladins together, having consecration is freaking awesome, because I can go left and gather like 3 mobs, and he can go right and gather 3 mobs, and then we meet in the middle and we both consecrate, and voila, we're gaining nothing but value off of that. So, honestly, it all looks pretty good, but I'm going to do my damnedest to get stamina intellect gear, like, of the eagle gear as best as I can while I'm leveling. The other awesome thing about the whole stamina intellect gear thing is how it synergizes with... All right, so just so we're clear, if you're doing the stamina intellect gear thing, you need to grab the nearest mage and shove silver down their throat and literally take their gamer girl pee from them. Like I'm not even joking, because you're gonna be literally killing 6 mobs, and then you need to have 30 seconds of drinking time, then 6 mobs and 30 seconds of drinking time. So if you can grab the nearest mage and pay him like a bit of silver to give you a trade inventory full of gold and hopefully some food as well, that should satisfy you for an entire leveling session. It's kind of very important that you're drinking lots of water while you're leveling a paladin, and you just have mages take care of that, if that makes any sense. What else was I talking about here? There was something else, but I lost my train of thought. Intellect stamina gear. Oh, right, about the mage water thing. All right, so the other thing to note about mage water is, or the stamina intellect gear, is you don't need all your gear to be stamina intellect gear, because at some point your ability to drink water doesn't really work anymore. You're going to see that here in a second if I speed it up here to the point where I actually start drinking. Okay. Yeah, so you can't see it on the top left, but let's see, go back. What I'm trying to describe is that, and I'm sure if you've leveled a paladin before, you've seen this, is even the most up-to-date water that you can possibly have doesn't fill up your mana bar completely. Like you sit down for 30 seconds, you start drinking water, and it literally will not fill your mana bar up completely, which is kind of an interesting observation in the sense that I don't want to have to drink 2 waters. That's really bad. So I don't need all plus intellect gear. That's why I had it written down as like 75% in mana, because you're going to see he's going to get up here in a second. I might drink twice just to refill. Yeah, it stopped, right? We're no longer regenerating mana from drinking. So you can see that I have a little bit too much intellect gear on this Paladin, which is really interesting to note. And I haven't really decided what is better, to have this extra bit of... It's actually not good. Never mind. The point is, you don't need all stamina intellect gear, and you definitely don't need it up to date, because you're going to be kind of limited in your mana pool by the water that you have available, unless you want to be a madman and just double dip on the water and top yourself off, like kind of what I did right there, which is I drank an extra water to regain 15% of mana, when it might just be better to like have some stamina spirit gear or some stamina strength gear, you know, there instead. That way, yeah, blah, blah, blah. The point is that your gear can both be out of date or just kind of a little janky. What's important is that it's male gear, so you get the armor, and that you have the stamina to go with it, so you can AoE pull the mobs. Now, the only exception to this, in my personal opinion, is if I ever find it to be useful to start AoEing like a bunch of mobs at the same time. So if I can grab like 5 mobs and start burning them down, and then grab another 5 mobs and burn them down, it might be better for me to have a deeper mana pool, even if I have to double drink. That definitely does happen when you start, if your gear is up to date, and the water has not up to date anytime soon. So for example, the water's up to date every 10 levels, and your consecration also updates every 10 levels, which is kind of interesting. So you get rank 1 at level 20, and then you get rank 2 at level 30, and then you get rank 4 at level 40. And that nicely synergizes with the update in the water. But you can find these weird times, if you've been keeping your of the intellect gear up to date, where it's like you're level 39, the water doesn't update until level 40, and you literally sit and drink for 30 seconds, and you only recover half your mana bar. And it's just like, Jesus Christ. Which is why I wanted to test out spirit gear on a Paladin, because it's the one thing I've never done before. So yeah. The cool thing is we have a bunch of different leveling options, and just know that, yeah, the fast two-handers are really good with rank 3 Seal of Righteousness and Judgment of the Crusader. And the fast two-handers are on par, whether you go the Stam Int or the Strength Gear, which is kind of fascinating. And if you get the right one-hander, your single target time to kill is not bad at all. Yeah, it's looking good. I'm happy I looked into this stuff as a Paladin, to be honest. At the end of the day, though, as a Paladin, your best bet for leveling is just to do dungeons. That's just the truth of it, or to try to find a leveling buddy to level with them. It's almost universally considered that... Oh, right, so I guess I should talk about that. So people generally... Back in the day, people thought that... This is command. That's right, we had some jank going. There we go. So back in the day, people thought that, on the private servers, it's private server information, that warriors had the worst leveling experience in Classic WoW, and paladins just had a slow but steady leveling experience, or / interesting level experience, depending on how you played it. And then actual classic World of Warcraft came out, and we discovered that warriors don't have that bad of a leveling experience whatsoever, mostly because I don't think the mobs hit as hard as they do on private servers, and the spirit regeneration thing that warriors have figured out has just kind of made things very, very good for them. More importantly, if you think about the leveling of every other class in the game, like let's just stop and go big picture here, right? So every other class in the game either does their leveling speed is based off of how much damage they're doing from their skills, not so much from their gear. So, for example, mages level very, very quickly, but none of that, all of that is from the trainer. None of that is from their gear. They're not scaling off their gear to level so quickly. Neither are the druids, because their weapon is just a stat stick. It doesn't really matter. The rogues are not leveling off of their gear. The rogues actually don't synergize damage-wise all that much with their gear. Their base abilities do metric shit tons of damage. So again, they're leveling off of their skill trainer, which is why there's videos that exist of butt naked level 60 rogues with starting zone daggers killing grand marshals, right? Like that is actually a thing. It's because the base damage of their abilities are so high. And this continues for every single class in the game. Priests. There's no spell power gear while you're leveling whatsoever, but when they get their skills from the trainer do lots of damage. This cycle continues until you get to two classes specifically, until you get to the warrior and until you get to the paladin. Now, the warrior has the benefits of he actually scales well with his gear, meaning that the way the warrior is set up is like the more damage he does, the more rage he gets, and the more rage he gets, the more damage he does, right? That's the warrior synergy there. So while warriors can't synergize off of their trainers like other classes, right? Like they just can't get their DPS from the class trainer. They can scale quite spectacularly with gear. On top of that, they kind of scale off of their trainer to a degree. And what I mean by that, I'm about to test. I think it's. I don't know what I'm testing. Am I testing some intellect? I'm testing two-handed, and I'm going back to two-handed spell power. Okay. I mean, two-handed intellect, I think. Yeah, whatever. Right, okay, so the thing about warriors. In a way, warriors actually do scale really well with their from their trainer, in the sense that level 30, I think it is, they get Whirlwind, and then level 40, they end up having things like Mortal Strike and Bloodthirst and stuff like that. So, in other words, they've got, let me think about this. They get 2 extra auto attacks. One of them is on a 6-second cooldown, and the other one is on a 10-second cooldown, which is much more than a paladin gets, right? Like, we have our judgment damage, which is on like a 10-second cooldown. That is, you could argue that it's about an auto attack's worth of damage. Okay. And then we get Seal of Command, which may or may not proc, right? But Seal of Command, when you look at how often it procs, the fact that it's Seal of Casino and blah, 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 you can see that I think I'm doing... I'm testing Intellect Gear, two-handed Paladin right now for time to kill. That's what's going on in this video. Ugh. The hell am I trying to say? Oh, right. Seal of Command, you can say at best it's on par with Mortal Strike. Like, at best, right? But then warriors have Whirlwind, so it's like, okay, they synergize more with their skills than paladins, or they're roughly the equivalent. At best case scenario, they're the equivalent of a paladin, and then but then they have a rage bar, which means that more damage means more damage. They also get to charge from mob to mob, which is a big deal because we have to walk slowly between mob to mob. It's just all kind of... It's a little better. I'm saying the grass is a little greener on the side of the warrior than is on the side of the paladin. But then you come to the paladin, and you start to realize that paladins do not scale at all from their trainers. Like, we don't. We scale from our gear, and then we have the tiniest bit of scaling from our trainer, and then, for the most part, life is just a slog for us. Like, we can't die, but there's nothing we can really do to increase our leveling speed all that spectacularly. Which is why I'm really into this rank 3 SOR thing. Because SOR is something that can actually scale off of our trainer like the other classes do. So, for example, I think it starts off at like rank 1's like plus 20 spell power, and then it goes plus 30 spell power, and then it goes plus 50 spell power, and then it goes plus 80 spell power, and then I think it gets up to like 140 by the time, you're like level 60 or something like that. So you're going to be bumming around with like 100 spell power on your Seal of Righteousness rank 3. And Seal of Righteousness rank 3 is going to thunk things with like an extra 20 damage, which is kind of nuts. Especially while you're leveling. Eventually, it'll peter off. But by that time, our proper AOE is online, if that makes sense. We're level 42. We don't really actually care about Seal of Righteousness rank 3 and then SOR. So it's greatly speeding up things. So yeah. So yeah, I'm kind of happy I found this. It's going to be hard to get the stamina intellect gear, but I still plan on being in dungeons a lot. And I guess I'll just leave it there. Feel free to look into it and test it yourself and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm kind of digging it. So anyways, I'm going to leave it here and do as well, boys.